I'm Will Walker.
I'm Amber Walker.
And we own Yesteryear. Well, I'm a personal historian, and so I help clients preserve and archive their memories, whether it's through photos and videos or through their life story. When I was in middle school, I wanted to be an Egyptologist, and the counselor said, unless you find King Tut's tomb, you're not going to make any money, so you better forget that. I've always had a passion for preserving history. I just thought it was a necessity. In high school, I helped my football team preserve some old photos, and so that was the first time I really got into scanning and Photoshop work. When I can get someone to realize that they need to record it today, and what is happening today is already history, that's when I get satisfaction with what I do.
We have this order for some reels to convert for a set of grandchildren that found these reels that belong to their grandma. She has dementia, and so time with her is precious. They get to have this moment of grandma is telling me about what's on these reels.
He loved photography, obviously, and I guess, I don't know why he chose slides instead of printed photographs, except maybe he thought they wouldn't fade like a photograph would fade. I don't know why he chose slides, but he did a pretty good job of documenting everything.
Look at the shirtless boy hiding.
I think it's like finding the family treasure, you know, to go through these slides. It was sort of an unexpected gift. We knew the slides were there, but didn't realize how far back they went. And I was kind of kicking myself for not ever having asked to see older slides. He told the story that he was home on leave from the Navy. It would be early 1950s. His parents had moved from Colorado to California and were going to the same church where Mom's family went. And when he got to church that Sunday, someone asked if she would show him around to the right Bible class. And he would tell that story and he would say, and she was wearing a red skirt. He remembered what she was wearing the very first time he saw her. And I think that was probably it. That's all it took. They wrote a lot of letters back and forth. Somewhere in there, Dad proposed to Mom. We're not exactly sure where. She said that he first proposed in a letter, and he always said he would never have proposed in a letter. He was sure he did that in person, but they reached an understanding really quickly.
In all of my time growing up, I remember them having one argument in all those years, and it was very short-lived. They were just very committed to one another, and they were both very committed to church and church work and everything that went along with that.
They were surprised to get the call to go to the Philippines, and they went. They wrote a lot of letters back home describing the things that they went through. Those are my first memories, and so I didn't really know that life was any different. And to think now that they were willing to take a 3-year-old and live in Southeast Asia at that time is kind of amazing when you're thinking about what things were like at that time.
He took the job as the minister for one of the congregations in Bakersfield, California, and that's where I was born and where my brother Brian was born. And it was during that time that he decided he wanted to take up motorcycle riding. Kind of gradually found out that there were other people at church who rode motorcycles too, and so they formed their own sort of church motorcycle gang. And they would go out on camping trips, and they would go out on just rides to see scenery and just be out riding together. But they always had a really good time with their motorcycle friends. They moved to Spokane, Washington, and then went from there to the Seattle area where Dad finished his career preaching at the Bellevue Church. And it was in Seattle where he was diagnosed with cancer, and he fought the cancer for probably about 4 years, I think.
He tried very hard to be positive, but I think he knew that he probably wasn't going to be walking this earth much longer. But he didn't really talk about himself and what he was going through. He remained concerned for his mother, who was still alive. I could see sorrow when he realized he wasn't going to see all his grandchildren. But he tried to stay positive. And so when he was in the hospital, I told him the thing that I thought would be closest to his heart. I told him that we would make sure that Mom was taken care of, and that he would not have to worry about that. And that we would all make sure that she was taken care of in any way that she needed. And it was shortly after that that he passed away.
About 36 to 48 hours before he died, he had a little conversation with Mom, and he was able to tell her, I think this is the end, but I love you and we've had a really good life together. We would all love to see these preserved in some way where they won't fade and degenerate over time, but we're also nervous about just sending them off in the mail to someplace that we don't know, because it is the only copy we have. But I think it's going to be really nice to have them preserved and be able to share them with our children and possibly our grandchildren someday, and just keep the family history alive.
It helps us to have a sense of what was before, you know. It's a weird place to be in, to be the oldest generation. That's kind of strange. And so to be able to look back and see a really good record of what it was like before is kind of helpful, to feel that continuity of the family history and sort of the stream of events that contributes to making us all who we are.
People think of history as the big stuff like World War I or Abraham Lincoln, you know, just the big topics. But every person makes up the earth, and it makes up history. The more we can preserve on an individual level, the more history is preserved, and the more we understand about who we are as a people, a nation, down to who we are as a person. You know, when you've lived decades, you're going to have things to talk about, and everyone's unique in their experiences. Families cherish that, knowing that perspective.
It was a lot of fun to see how young they were, and you can see in the pictures how much in love they were.
When I sat down to go through these with Mom, I wasn't sure what her reaction would be. I didn't know what she could remember and what she couldn't. she always comes back to those motorcycle trips. And every time she sees it, she'll say, "Oh, I remember." And she'll tell a story about the motorcycle trips. And I think it's because they had a sense of being young and free, just had a really great time on the motorcycle. And it's kind of funny to me that out of all the things that they did in life, that's what really sticks now when so much has left her. I think she felt like she had been a little country girl from Arkansas who never really expected to go all these different places in the world and ride all over the West Coast on a motorcycle behind her preacher husband. That just never entered her mind when she was growing up. And I think she really liked that they had done that.